Appreciate it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So a little bit of pressure here being the first up on the stage to speak to such an amazing cohort we have here today. Good to see some long friends and folks that I've known for quite so many years. And I'm excited to share with you what we just heard the board talk about, which is this massive transformation that is undertaking our industry by storm. And we're either going to need to embrace it or get left behind. That said, I realize I'm somewhat preaching to the choir. I realize that this group here is full of industry-leading analysts and telecom executives. And so I'm going to share with you some data and some different information that we shared recently at our analyst forum that's also presented in our white paper on Cloud 2.0. And so I'm hoping that I can persuade you to jump on board with us in this really ambitious journey. So with that said, I've got about 100 slides in about 20 minutes, so buckle up and let's jump right in. So first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about what Cloud 2.0 really is. We believe that there are 5 capabilities that will be new capabilities that will exist in this new environment that will support this new massive infrastructure to support AI. Number 1, extreme bandwidth at low latencies as well. The traditional bandwidth of today just won't be enough to support the AI workloads that we're seeing. And if we don't have upgrades in bandwidth, we're going to have GPUs sit idle. So you're going to see 400 gig as being really the bottom level, and upwards of that to 800 and 1.6T. You're also going to see massive data center interconnects created, where we have these cloud-to-cloud, cloud-to-data center interconnects so that customers can have access to GPU training, AI, SaaS, all on demand. We're going to also see an expansion into these new AI corridors, which is a little bit of a shift from our perspective, as we've always had these traditional telecom corridors, May East, May West, going back in time. And so we're going to see this urban sprawl of data center builders looking to find real estate, power, water. And we're already seeing this expansion, and we already have major projects committed and data to back this up. We're also going to see additional distributed cloud on-ramps, where customers will be able to consume data on demand, throughput on demand, to be able to onboard their data into the cloud, to be consumed by different applications, and as they train their models. And lastly, we're going to see a shift to really table stakes of having API-enabled fabrics that are going to allow on-demand access to customers and bandwidth at specified throughputs and latencies. So as we just heard the board talk about this massive change in this industry, we all know what's driving this. It's AI. And it's redefining data center footprints to handle these exabyte scale demands that are going to be present in our marketplace. Because the legacy networks that we designed before were built for VPNs and voice and internet traffic, but they were not designed for these AI-heavy workloads that we're seeing today. So as we think about this transformation from Cloud 1.0, which by the way took about 15 years to adopt predominantly within enterprises, we're going to see a much faster adoption rate for Cloud 2.0, and we believe that will take place in about 3 years. Again, 3 years. That's pretty aggressive. And I would say that the key bullet point here as we look at this is that purpose-built connectivity is going to be required for the billions and trillions we spent on GPUs and all this AI economy to be able to deliver. Otherwise, it will under-deliver. So we've all seen the headlines and read the press about the fact that data center space is completely occupied, right? 98% full. You can't find space if you try to. So we know that there's a real estate problem and that there's a space issue. We've heard tons of talk about how much investment's being made in AI chips, GPUs, and power. You know, we know that there's a power challenge, but rarely do we hear people talk about the network infrastructure. And so we really want to call that out here as we believe that there will be about $500 billion invested in the network as we know it, with fiber builds, overpulls, and Lumen is investing in this heavily right now as we build out all of our major metros with just breathtaking expansion. And so in order for us to be able to achieve this new AI economy, it's going to be fundamental to invest this dollars in the network. So I wanted to show you guys a use case to kind of make my point. It's always good to have numbers to back your data, right? So as we think about data centers today and the lack of that massive bandwidth that's required, I want to underscore why it's so important. On the left-hand side, you can kind of see a chart here talking about how long it takes to egress 1 petabyte of data. Pretty common sense stuff here. 10 gig to 400 gig, you see massive returns and obviously better throughput. So you're probably asking me, Ethan, why is it important to explain to us how to calculate throughput? I say that because I would like to draw a correlation to the cost and the fact that the network is really what's driving the cost and the speed of how AI is going to train models in the future. It's going to control the cost, not the GPUs. So as you look from the left to the right here, you can see the cost of training a model at 10 gig is substantially higher and takes much more time than training a model at 400 gig. So as you think about the cost of the bandwidth, it's really inconsequential compared to the cost savings that you're going to see across training models at this high rate of speed. So 400 gig is going to end up being really the bottom, and we're going to see a growth to 800 to 1.6 T as table stakes very rapidly. So next, talking a little bit more about data center capacity that's already fully at scale. And we've been doing a ton of research around all the different infrastructure required to build the data centers. Again, power, water, real estate, to understand what we think is going to happen between now and 2030. If we look back over time, between the last 5 years, we put in 120 million square feet of data center space. And we believe that by 2030, pretty conservatively, we're going to be seeing upwards of 1 billion square footage of data center space. But I think that this illustration here is very dramatic from the top to the bottom. And we think this is really conservative that we're going to see this 10x multiplier within the data center footprint. So whether you believe that the increase is going to be 4 times 10x, we know this here, and it's going to happen. And one more thing we know for sure is it's going to be massive. So the next concept here is Cloud 2.0 is going to redraw the network map. With these new AI regions emerging in non-traditional telecom corridor or non-traditional AI corridors that are non-traditional from our perspective because we're used to these telecom corridors. And we believe that that's going to be driven by 3 structural shifts that will occur. The first of which is densification of the metro data centers today in these key hubs in Dallas, Phoenix, Ashburn. And that's going to put a huge load on power and capacity in these different metro regions. Second, we think we're going to see a diversification. We're going to see this urban sprawl growth into these remote locations, seeking real estate, power, water, all while it's going to put pressure on all of us to deliver fiber to these new locations that connect these data centers. And last, we're going to see a disaggregation and breaking apart of this flat WAN concept into 3 distinct areas, which we're calling edge, data center interconnect, and hyperscale back-end fabrics. So as we think more about the vision of the physical network when it comes to this Cloud 2.0 architecture, on the left-hand side, you can see an example of a typical Cloud 1.0 architecture within the enterprise. Hub and spoke technology, point-to-point circuits, standard on-ramps to different data centers within the cloud at pretty much 1 gig speeds. Moving to the vision on the right, which is Cloud 2.0, is this idea of flexible network fabrics where customers can make changes to their connectivity often and on demand. And we believe that customers are going to store their data in many different locations, upwards of 30, 40, 50 different locations within the cloud. And so this new any-to-any fabric will be with distributed data center interconnects is going to have virtual meet-me rooms and abilities for people to connect on demand. This is going to allow customers to rearrange their environments on demand, on the fly, so they can connect their data sources with different SaaS applications and different cloud GPUs and AI that they need to connect to. And for this reason, enterprises will reconsider how they connect to the cloud, to multiple clouds, with a major focus on speed, security, and flexibility in order to enable their enterprises to consume this new AI era. And one really interesting factoid from my perspective, being in managed services, is that we believe that the DIY days are dead for enterprises, because customers will have full control of this full mesh environment on demand from the portal. And there won't really be any need for these enterprises to own, operate, and maintain these networks. Because in this environment, there's no real intellectual property involved with running these networks or infrastructure. So we believe that there will be a huge, massive look at all of us in the room to help them achieve this transformation. So in summary, as I think through some of the concepts that we've covered today, and I know it's only been for a brief moment, if you haven't read the Cloud 2.0 paper, I really recommend you read it. I think it's enlightening. There's some key concepts that we've covered, and I want to reiterate these. I think one thing we can all agree on is that mutual customers will be facing challenges, our customers, with trying to achieve these outcomes and how they can transform. So they'll be looking to us to help them understand how to achieve that. This programmable fabric that we're building is now and will be the core of the internet. These data center interconnects, these on-ramps that we're building, they will be the new internet. And enterprises will be able to buy outcomes from the marketplaces, and the network can deliver those outcomes. We're also continuing to expand our fiber network with a focus on building the most reliable network in the world, all while delivering a single platform experience. So I realize that this headline, as I close out here, might be a little edgy, might have a little bit of some rough elbows. But in this Cloud 2.0 environment, enterprises are going to be either leaders or laggards. And as we have discussed, the networks are going to have a chance to scale very fast for exabyte transfers and real-time inferencing, or else we're going to overwhelm all of the fabric we have in place today. So lastly, the question that I would ask enterprises is how should they're going to be asking us is how should they utilize the cloud? And how can they match workloads with data wherever it's located and match it with AI for training and connect it all together with network resources? This fabric will be essential to provide a digital customer experience to all of our customers. So with that said, I thank you very much for having me. It was a hopefully enlightening conversation. I look forward to catching up with you guys over the next couple of days.